A brand new Toyota Highlander will run you almost $47,000 in 2026. Meanwhile, there's an older Highlander sitting in driveways. Right now, selling for around $6,000 that hauls the same family, tows the same boat, and might actually outlive the new one. Here's exactly how and exactly where it can bite you. Humiliating the showroom. At number 7 is interior space. Kicking things off at number 7. And this one is going to sound ridiculous until we break down the actual numbers. We're putting the brand new 2026 Toyota Highlander, which according to Kelley Blue Book starts at $47,365, head-to-head against a used second-generation Toyota Highlander from around 2008 through 2010. The kind of rig you can currently find for roughly $6,000 if you're willing to accept some mileage. And yes, that mileage is usually high. We found an actual listing on a Toyota owners forum where a 2008 Highlander with 241,000 miles on the clock was being sold for exactly $6,000, described by the seller as well-maintained. That's not a cherry-picked unicorn, that's a completely normal used Highlander price point right now. So, let's start with space, because that's the whole reason people buy a 3-row SUV in the first place. The new Highlander offers 16 cubic feet of cargo room behind the third row, expanding to 48.4 cubic feet with that row folded, and a maximum of 84.3 cubic feet with both rear rows flattened. According to Toyota's own specs, it seats up to 8 passengers depending on trim. Pretty impressive on paper. But here's the thing nobody talks about in the showroom. The old second-gen Highlander, especially in limited trim, also offers a proper third row, also folds nearly flat, and also seats up to 7 people comfortably enough for a family road trip. It's not going to match the brand new model's expanded cargo hold cubic foot for cubic foot, but functionally, for a family doing school runs, grocery hauls, and summer road trips, the difference is basically invisible in real life. You are not measuring cubic feet with a tape measure in a parking lot. You're throwing luggage in the back and driving. The interior feel is obviously different. The new Highlander has a 12.3-inch touchscreen, wireless Apple CarPlay, a household power outlet on some trims, and a much quieter cabin. The old Highlander has, well, buttons. Actual, physical, tactile buttons that still work after 200,000 miles, which honestly might be the more impressive tech story here. Owners on Edmunds routinely report driving these things past 150,000 miles with almost nothing going wrong beyond tires and brake pads. One owner literally wrote that they bought their 2008 Highlander at 32,000 miles, are now sitting at 153,000, and have never once had it in the shop for a repair, just routine. Maintenance. That's the story that keeps showing up again and again. There's also the seating configuration to think about. The new Highlander offers second-row captain's chairs on higher trims like the XSE and Platinum, which caps seating at 7, while the XLE and Limited trims offer a bench for a maximum of 8, according to Kelley Blue Book. The older Highlander followed a similar layout philosophy, with a second-row bench standard and captain's chairs available on limited trims. So the seating flexibility argument, which a lot of dealerships love to lean on as a reason to buy new, has honestly existed in this exact same form since 2008. It's not a new feature, it's a Highlander feature, full stop. So right out of the gate, at number 7, the space gap is smaller than the price gap would suggest. You're not getting a shrunken-down toy SUV for $6,000. You're getting a genuinely family-sized 3-row hauler that just happens to be 17 years older than the one on the showroom floor. But space is easy. The real test is whether this thing can actually go somewhere in any weather, which is exactly where we're headed. Next, what exactly is this test? You'll never guess. If this list is doing anything for you so far, this is your cue to smash that subscribe button right now. Because we've got 5 more categories where this $6,000 underdog either holds its own or straight up surprises you. Sliding through the snow at number 6 is all-wheel drive. Sliding into number 6, and if this list is doing anything for you so far, this is your cue to smash that subscribe button right now because we've got 5 more categories where this $6,000 underdog either holds its own or straight up surprises you. Let's talk all-wheel drive, because this is where a lot of buyers assume the cheap old SUV is going to fall flat on its face. It doesn't. The 2026 Highlander now comes with standard all-wheel drive across every trim. According to Kelley Blue Book, a genuine upgrade over previous years when AWD was optional. It uses a dynamic torque vectoring system on higher trims that can send up to 50% of power to the rear wheels for better stability in rain, snow, or a sketchy gravel driveway. That's a real modern advantage, and we're not going to pretend otherwise. But the old second-generation Highlander was also available with a full-time AWD system, and it was actually pretty well regarded in its day. It uses a simpler, more mechanical setup without all the electronic torque vectoring wizardry, but mechanical simplicity has an underrated benefit. Fewer sensors, fewer modules, and fewer $500 electronic gremlins to chase down later. Toyota's older AWD Highlanders have a long reputation among owners for getting through winters in places like Michigan, Minnesota, and upstate New York without drama. It's not going to outcorner the new model on a wet mountain pass, and it doesn't have snow-specific drive modes like multi-terrain select on the new car. But for the 95% of AWD use cases that are actually just don't get stuck in the grocery store parking lot during a snowstorm, it does the job. Here's where the math starts getting interesting too. If you're financing that new Highlander at $47,000, you're likely looking at a monthly payment somewhere between $600 and $800 depending on your rate and term, according to typical new car loan structures. On the $6,000 Highlander, you could pay cash and never see an auto loan statement again in your life. That's not just a purchase price difference. That's a difference in whether you're carrying debt for the next 5 to 7 years. So at number 6, the all-wheel drive systems aren't identical. The new one is objectively more advanced, but the old one still gets the job done in real-world conditions, and IT does it without chaining you to a car payment. Speaking of jobs, though, we haven't even touched the one thing every SUV buyer secretly wants to know before they commit, which is whether this thing can actually pull something. Let's find out. Matching muscle pound for pound. At number 5 is towing capacity. Landing at number 5 is the category that surprises almost everyone the first time they see the numbers side by side, and that's towing capacity. The brand new 2026 Highlander, running that turbocharged 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine producing 265 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, is rated to tow up to 5,000 pounds when properly equipped, according to Toyota's official specs. That's a genuinely strong number for a mid-size 3-row SUV, enough for a decent-sized boat, a couple of jet skis, or a small camper. Now here's the part that should make new car shoppers do a double take. The old second-generation Highlander, when equipped with the factory tow package and the 3.5-liter V6 engine, is also rated to tow up to 5,000 pounds, according to Toyota owner forums and multiple towing capacity databases. Not 3,000, not 3,500. 5,000 pounds, the exact same ceiling as the brand new model 17 years later. One owner on a Toyota forum even described regularly towing a tri-tune boat that weighed around 4,600 pounds, fully loaded with 0 issues. Let that sink in for a second. Toyota's engineers in the mid-2000s built a tow rating into this SUV that the company still hasn't meaningfully exceeded almost 2 decades later, even after switching to a turbocharged engine, adding standard AWD, and redesigning the entire platform twice. That's not a knock on the new Highlander. That's actually a compliment to how well engineered the old one was for its era. The catch, because there's always a catch, is condition dependent. You need to verify the specific used Highlander you're looking at actually has the factory tow package installed, which usually means checking for a small transmission cooler near the left headlight, according to owner community advice. Not every used Highlander on the lot has it. Some were sold without it. So this isn't a blanket. Every $6,000 Highlander can tow 5,000 pounds. Claim. It's the capability exists in this generation if you find the right one. Claim. Do your homework. Check the VIN, ask for the tow package documentation, and you can end up with a 5,000-pound tow rating for a small fraction of the new car's price. So, at number 5, in the one category most people assume the cheap old SUV would get demolished in, it's actually matching the brand new model pound for pound. But raw towing numbers don't mean much if the engine underneath can't back it up reliably. And that leads us straight into the next category. Battling turbo versus V6 at number 4, engine showdown. Cruising into number 4, let's actually pop the hood and compare what's pushing these two SUVs down the road, because the engines could not be more different in philosophy. The Highlander actually ditched the V6 back in 2023, switching to a turbocharged 2.4-liter four-cylinder making 265 horsepower, paired to an 8-speed automatic according to Toyota and Kelley Blue Book. It's a smart, modern, efficient setup, returning an EPA estimated 21 city, 28 highway, and 24 combined miles per gallon, or up to 35 combined miles per gallon if you step up to the hybrid version. Turbocharging gets you strong low-end torque without the fuel penalty of a bigger engine, and on paper, it's a clear win for anyone who cares about gas station visits. The old second-generation Highlander runs the complete opposite philosophy, a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 producing 270 potent horsepower across the entire run, paired exclusively to a bulletproof 5-speed automatic. Fuel economy is noticeably worse, typically sitting somewhere in the high teens to low 20s combined, depending on driving style, according to owner-reported real-world numbers. So if gas prices are your main concern, the new Highlander wins this one. Outright, no argument. But here's where it gets interesting for anyone thinking long-term. Turbocharged small displacement engines are more efficient, but they also run hotter, spin faster, and rely on more complex components, like the turbocharger itself, to make their power. That complexity is relatively unproven over a 200,000-mile lifespan, simply because these engines haven't been around long enough to generate that kind of track record yet. The 3.5-liter V6 in the old Highlander, on the other hand, has been around Toyota's lineup for closely 2 decades, and there's a mountain of real-world data on how it ages. Forum owners on Toyota Nation routinely describe these V6 engines lasting past 300,000 miles, with one longtime Toyota technician on Kelley Blue Book's review section describing his own 225,000-mile Highlander as having never left me on the side of the road. That's not a small claim. That's a nearly 2-decade-old engine design that Toyota has had all the time in the world to work the bugs out of, versus a newer turbo engine that's still writing its own reliability chapter in real time. Neither answer is wrong here. It depends on whether you value efficiency today or proven longevity over the next decade. There's also a simple mechanical philosophy difference worth mentioning. Turbocharged engines rely on a spinning turbine, an intercooler, and a web of pressure sensors, all of which are additional parts that can eventually wear out or fail. A naturally aspirated V6, like the one in the old Highlander, has none of that extra plumbing. Fewer parts generally means fewer things that can break, which is exactly why so many high-mileage Toyota V6 owners report such smooth, uneventful ownership experiences, well past the 200,000-mile mark. It's not flashy, it's not efficient by today's standards, but it is refreshingly simple. But if it's longevity you're after, stick around because number 3 is going to lay out exactly how these two SUVs compare over the long haul, crushing the competition at number 3 with a reliability track record. Arriving at number 3, and this is where the story really starts leaning in the $6,000 car's favor, because we're talking about long-term reliability, and Toyota's older Highlanders have an almost absurd track record. According to Kelley Blue Book, the current generation new Highlander carries an above-average reliability rating of 4.1 out of 5 from owners, plus a top safety pick award from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety and a 5-star crash rating from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That's genuinely solid. And buying new obviously means a fresh warranty, 3 years or 36,000 miles of bumper-to-bumper coverage, and 5 years or 60,000 miles on the powertrain, according to Toyota's warranty terms. But the old second-generation Highlander has had an entire decade and a half to prove itself in the real world, and the reviews are staggering. On Kelley Blue Book's own owner review section for an earlier generation, Highlander, one self-described 20-plus-year Toyota technician, wrote that his model has almost no recalls and/or issues past 225,000 miles, with nothing but routine sensor replacements. Another owner described putting over 300,000 miles on theirs as a residential remodeling contractor, using it like a cargo van for 4 to 5 years of work, and calling it one of the most reliable vehicles they'd ever owned. A separate site focused on Toyota V6 reliability notes that these engines are known to run for 500,000 miles or more when properly maintained, which sounds almost fictional until you realize how many owners are out there confirming it firsthand. This is the part new car buyers rarely think about. When you buy the brand new Highlander, you're betting on future reliability based on engineering, testing, and a manufacturer's track record with similar vehicles. When you buy the 15-plus-year-old Highlander for $6,000, you are looking at actual, lived, documented reliability. There's no guessing involved. You can go read hundreds of forum threads, consumer reports, surveys, and owner testimonials describing exactly how these specific engines, transmissions, and drivetrains behave at 100,000 miles, 200,000 miles, and beyond. That's a level of certainty that literally no brand new car, no matter how good, can offer you on day one. Even Consumer Reports data on individual model years like the 2008 and 2013 Highlander backs this up. Most of the owner-reported complaints in those surveys are minor annoyances, paint chalking, squeaky brakes, an occasional water pump replacement, not the kind of catastrophic, wallet-destroying failures that would scare a sensible buyer away. Compare that to a brand new turbocharged platform that hasn't even existed long enough to generate a full decade of ownership data, and you start to understand why so many mechanics will quietly tell you the safest car to buy is often the one that's already proven it can survive. Now, before this starts sounding like an unconditional love letter, I need to be straight with you, because there is a very real weak point hiding in these older Highlanders, and if you don't know about it before you buy, it can turn your $6,000 bargain into an expensive headache. That's exactly what we're covering next, right before the final number. Exposing the Achilles heel. At number 2, the weak point. Landing at number 2. And if you've made it this far, drop a comment below, telling me whether you'd actually daily drive a 15-plus-year-old Highlander, because I read every single one, and I want to know if this list is changing anyone's mind. Okay, the weak point. Every used car has one, and pretending this $6,000 Highlander is perfect would be doing you a disservice. The biggest documented issue with the second-generation Highlander, especially early production years like 2008, involves the rubber oil cooler lines and VVTi oil lines on the 3.5-liter V6 engine, according to multiple owner forum threads and a detailed breakdown from Engine Patrol. These rubber lines were known to suddenly rupture without warning, dumping the engine's entire oil supply in a matter of seconds. One owner on a Toyota forum described exactly that scenario, saying the oil cooler line sprang a major leak and all the oil leaked out with no warning. If that happens while you're doing 65 on the highway instead of idling in a parking lot, you're looking at a catastrophic engine failure, not just an inconvenient tow truck call. The good news is this is a known, documented, and fixable issue. Toyota released technical service bulletins in 2011 and 2014, specifically addressing it, replacing the failure-prone rubber lines with updated metal ones, and by most owner accounts, the fix was largely baked into production by around 2010 or 2011. That means, if you're shopping specifically within the 2008 to 2010 window to hit that $6,000 price point, this is exactly the thing you need a mechanic to inspect before you hand over any cash. It's a relatively inexpensive fix if caught early, but a genuinely expensive and dangerous problem if ignored. There's a second issue worth knowing about too, the timing chain cover, which can develop an oil leak over time. According to a Consumer Reports owner complaint, one 2013 model owner was quoted $4,800 to fix a leaking timing cover because the job requires dropping the engine and transmission out from underneath the vehicle, a genuinely labor-intensive repair. It's not a common failure on every single unit, but it's common enough that a pre-purchase inspection focused specifically on these two systems, the oil cooler lines and the timing chain cover, is basically non-negotiable before you buy one of these. Here's the honest takeaway. This isn't a car you buy blind off a random online listing photo. It's a car you buy after a thorough mechanic inspection, ideally from a seller who can show maintenance records proving the oil line TSB was already performed. Do that homework, and you're getting a genuinely capable, family-sized, 5,000-pound towing, all-wheel drive SUV for less than the price of a used motorcycle. Skip that homework, and you're gambling with a known failure point that could cost you way more than the $6,000 you saved. If you've made it this far, drop a comment below telling me whether you'd actually daily drive a 15-plus-year-old Highlander, because I read every single one, and I want to know if this list is changing anyone's mind. Now let's put every single number from this entire video together and see exactly how much money we're actually talking about. Demolishing the budget at number 1, the final cost breakdown. And finally, at number 1, let's do the math, because at the end of the day, this entire comparison comes down to dollars and cents. The new 2026 Highlander starts at $46,765, according to Kelley Blue Book, with real-world fair purchase prices ranging up to $54,000, depending on trim and options. The used second-generation Highlander, we've been discussing this whole video, sits at roughly $6,000 for a well-maintained, higher mileage example, based on real, current forum and marketplace listings. Subtract one from the other, and you're looking at a savings of about $41,365. As a percentage, that $6,000 Highlander costs you roughly 87% less than driving the new one off the lot, which is actually even better than the 85% this video promised you at the start. But the sticker price is only half the money story. Financing a $47,000 SUV over a typical 6-year loan means paying thousands of dollars in interest on top of the purchase price, plus higher insurance premiums because insurers price coverage partly based on the vehicle's value. A $6,000 SUV insures for a fraction of that cost, and if you pay cash, there's no interest to pay at all. Add in the fact that new cars lose a huge chunk of their value in the first few years of ownership through depreciation, while a 15-plus-year-old Highlander has already done all of its depreciating, and you start to see why this comparison isn't as crazy as the headline made it sound. Yes, you'll spend more on gas with the old V6 compared to the new turbo 4-cylinder or hybrid. Yes, you'll eventually need to sink some money into old car realities, like that oil cooler line fix we just talked about, spark plug replacement on that rear bank, or general wear and tear that a brand new car simply won't need for years. Realistically, budget a few hundred to low thousands of dollars for a proper inspection and any needed repairs when you first buy one of these. Even after all of that, you are almost certainly still coming out tens of thousands of dollars ahead compared to financing a brand new Highlander, all while getting the same 3-row seating, the same all-wheel drive capability, and that exact same 5,000-pound towing number. Let's put a rough number on the 5-year picture, just to be fair to both sides. On the new Highlander, factor in the $47,000 purchase price, several $1,000s in loan interest depending on your rate, higher full coverage insurance because of the vehicle's value, and typical depreciation that can eat up nearly half the car's value in that first 5-year stretch alone. On this $6,000 Highlander, you're looking at the purchase price, a PARI purchase inspection, potentially a few $1,000s in preventative repairs upfront, cheaper liability-focused insurance since the car's value is so low, and noticeably higher fuel costs over those same 5 years. Even stacking every one of those extra costs onto the used SUV's side of the ledger, you are still looking at a total 5-year cost that lands tens of thousands of dollars below what the new Highlander will have cost you, interest and depreciation included. The math simply isn't close. So, here's the bottom line. A brand new Highlander is a fantastic, modern, well-built SUV, and if you can comfortably afford it, nobody's telling you not to buy one. But if you're being smart with your money, a well-inspected, properly maintained second-generation Highlander from around 2008 to 2010, specifically a V6 model with all-wheel drive and the factory tow package, is proof that you don't need to spend $47,000 to get a capable family hauler that can tow just as much as the vehicle sitting on today's showroom floor. Sometimes the smartest purchase isn't the newest one, it's the one that already proved it works. If this kind of dollar-for-dollar breakdown is useful to you, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen right now and hit that subscribe button while you're at it, because we've got a lot more of these value comparisons coming your way. I'll see you in the next one.